All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So it occurs to me that it's probably the first time a lot of you guys are going to hear me speak for probably longer than 5 minutes. I assure you, it's not because I'm shy or anything. It's just I'll probably say I'm an observer more than anything. Like, I like to just kind of watch things unfold for the most part. But I can talk. Trust me, I can talk. Ask my now wife, been married for like, got married in November. Ask her, I can talk, trust me. All right, so, yeah. So my name is, if anyone doesn't know, my name is Phil Ossai, not Ossai, it's Ossai. I'm not Ghanaian, I'm Nigerian, I promise. Yeah, so today's Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is an interesting one because when I got asked to do this on Valentine's Day, I laugh because I don't rate Valentine's Day like that. But it's not that I don't like love or I don't love love. I love love. Obviously, I love love, innit? But I just don't rate Valentine's Day like that. So it's interesting. But if you do, then happy Valentine's Day. Women, don't be afraid to romance your man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then man, them don't be afraid as well. If you're looking for movie recommendations for today, I recommend Think Like a Man because it's the best rom-com ever. Argue with someone else, not me, because I'm not going to argue with you on that one. That is, it's the best. It's the best. I'm not going to lie. So just a couple, kind of housekeeping, I guess, considering it's the first time a lot of you are going to hear me speak. I like to say that I'm hood adjacent, as in I was raised in a hood. For anyone who doesn't know what the hood is I guess overpopulated, low-income areas with crime and other activity. I think there's crime everywhere, but you know, the hood, right? So I feel like I'm hood adjacent because, yeah, I was raised in a hood, but like, it's kind of like I'd say I kind of like took the graduate scheme, as in I made it out, but you know, there's still some bits of hood in me. So when I speak, my jargon might not be words that you guys recognize, some older people recognize, but I'll try to explain myself every single time. And if I say something like bro, in my opinion, bro is universal. I say bro to everyone except my actual brother, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today. I don't take it lightly. Thank you to the pastors for allowing me to preach today. I'll just quickly pray. Father, Lord, I know that you've given me something interesting and needed to preach today, Lord. I just pray that your word and your will be done on this stage, Lord. I just pray that you open the hearts of everyone listening, Lord. I pray that everyone's receptive. And Lord, I just pray that today goes well. In Jesus' name. All right, so I got asked to speak about relationship momentum. Because I know that the word for this year was momentum. But yeah, I gotta speak about momentum, and then, you know, I know what like momentum means. Like I can describe momentum to someone. It's almost like a snowball effect, kind of. But when I looked up the actual definition of the word, it says that it's the quality of motion of a moving body measured as a product of its mass and velocity. So essentially, it's how well you are moving, basically, and how well you continue to move, essentially. And something I've noticed that in relationships, we often do more maintenance than prevention, as in when something is going wrong, then for the most part, we'll work out what's going wrong and see what we can do to solve it. But I feel like there's wisdom in us knowing how to prevent situations from happening and before they arise, so that we don't have to be trying to cure the illness or the whatever's going on in that relationship. So I got essentially 4 key points for purposeful momentum in relationships. Just 4. They're not the only 4 points that will ever exist, but they're 4 key points that came to me when I was preparing. So the first one is set a target. So if you want to write that down, the first one is set a target. So a couple weeks ago, Pastor spoke about setting targets. You know, he had that, he had the bullseye and he had the bow and arrow. Yeah, it was dope. It was great. Yeah, he had all of that. And then something that he spoke about is creating your own target. So archers they will have to sometimes create their own target. And I thought that was interesting because, especially nowadays in this day and age, we kind of exist in sometimes like echo chambers. And if anyone doesn't know what echo chamber is, it's where your thoughts and ideas, or thoughts and ideas that are shared, tend to be in smaller spaces that just essentially reverberate, and then you're hearing the same ideas back and forth all the time. And you can sometimes see that on social media. For example, if I follow certain people that think like-mindedly, I'm probably going to have an echo chamber of people who hate Donald Trump. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you were to come out of that echo chamber, you might see that there's actually a whole world here that exists beyond your thoughts. So sometimes we exist in echo chambers, and then in these echo chambers, especially on social media, you will have situations where some people will do stuff in relation to their relationship. They'll do things for their significant other or whatever, and they'll have you thinking that it's goals. There was a time when relationship goals was a thing. Like everyone would be like hashtag goals, or if someone does something, oh yeah, goals. Everyone would just throw that around. And I remember that that time came at a terrible time for me, This was when I was trying to find my now wife's engagement ring. That was terrible, because every single time I went on social media, I saw someone getting engaged. I don't know how it works. I feel like sometimes when you want something, you just suddenly see that thing all everywhere. Like I remember the time when I wanted headphones, I was just walking around, I see everyone with headphones, like, why is he's got the headphones I want? Is this a sign? Like, am I supposed to get those headphones? It would be like that. But yeah, when I was trying to find an engagement ring, I saw rings everywhere. And that kind of left me like deep into my own thoughts, thinking, oh, whatever ring I'm gonna get is not gonna be good enough. Because, boy, I know for a fact I don't have the finances that some of these men have, but it would be existing as goals, you know what I mean? Like, I know it wasn't my fiance at the time tweeting these things, but I see women tweet things like, yo, if it's not this ring, I don't want to hear it. Or if you're not coming to me like this, I don't want to see it, or something like that. It just have you thinking that, okay, cool, this is the way that things are supposed to be done. But it's just an echo chamber. It's literally just you inside of that space where you're around people who you follow, or people who are probably like-minded, and have you thinking that this is the only way things are supposed to be. And when it comes to setting targets, if you don't set your own targets can essentially be set for you. And those targets can be set for you in these echo chambers. So I guess the first point is just be very, very mindful of the targets you're setting and whether targets are being set for you, essentially. Quick story. When I was thinking about this is a time when I was engaged, but I was thinking about the type of family I essentially want to have. It was during the World Cup. During the World Cup, England was somehow doing very, very well. Somehow doing very, very well. And I remember I messaged my friend. I was like, yo, are you watching the England versus Belgium game? And he was like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna watch it. And I was like, all right, cool. Do you mind if I come over and watch it with you? Because for me, I just at the time I just lived with my dad, so just me and my dad. I don't want to watch football with my dad because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I was like, yeah, what? I was messaging my friends like, yo, do you mind if I come around and watch the game with you? He was like, yeah, cool. So I'm driving over to his house, and I'm outside. I'm in the driveway. I don't like ringing doorbells. I don't know why. I think it's something about growing up in an estate. You don't really want to ring anyone's doorbell. But yeah, I was sat in my car. I messaged my friend. I was like, yo, I'm outside. And he goes, oh, sorry, I'm just coming back from work, but my family's in. You can go inside. I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, I know his family. I love his family, but I've never really sat there alone with his family when he's not there. And it was kind of strange. So I went inside. I remember sitting down. His two younger brothers are there because they just finished school. And his dad's there because I don't think his dad was working that day. And I remember the game started. I'm thinking, rah, where's my friend? Like, I meant to watch football with my friend. And then his older brother, my friend's older brother, came in, and the family greeted him. It was lovely. Then the mum came in. Family greeted her. It was lovely. Everyone was greeting each other. Then he came in. And then it was the same thing again and again and again. I remember thinking, this is strange. Like, it's not that I think they're faking it, but I was thinking this is kind of like, I felt like, where's the camera right now? Because it seems like these lot are doing a lot just to greet each other. I remember thinking that. I remember thinking like, it just reminded me of like soundstage sitcoms like The Brady Bunch or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't know what soundstage sitcom is, it's basically just, the comedy, situational comedies, but it's on like a stage like this, and they build like a set, it's basically like a theater production but on camera. There's like 4 cameras. So it reminded me of that. I was thinking, like, rah, what's going on here? And I remember, I think it was after that point that I realized that, hold on, I've never been exposed to a family situation where people come home and they're actually really happy to see each other. And I remember thinking to myself that, it's not that I want exactly what they have, but I know that I want to cultivate that type of relationship or that type of family in my family and relationships going forward. And I realized that if I wasn't exposed to something like that, I might just be thinking that the way I had been operating or the way my life has been so far was probably normal. Like, you don't get to pick your family, they're just there. Do you see what I'm saying? But it seemed like my friend's family, it's not that I want his family, just make that clear, but I knew that was something that I wanted to be a goal or a target for me. So I have to start, even from now, I have to start trying to create that type of space. And ultimately, it starts from within you sometimes. It starts from within you. Like, that type of thing doesn't just happen. Like, I think the youngest brother in my friend's family, the youngest brother, I think he's like 16. So they're not kids, do you see what I'm saying? And they know what's going on. So yeah, Pastor spoke about targets. And an interesting thing about targets is that targets, they allow you to keep track of your momentum. So we're talking about momentum, we're talking about quality of movement. They allow you to keep track of your momentum and see how well you're doing, if you're straying off the path, if you're subverting your momentum. It allows you to do all of that stuff. So it got me thinking about, like, when Jesus was fasting for 40 days, 40 nights, the devil tried to tempt him with several things, like, turn this stone into bread if you're bad, basically. It was just like, it was on that hype, like, it was just mad childish. But if Jesus didn't have his target, it would be easy for him to divert or for him to subvert and just, go in a different direction. But he had his target, so he was able to track his momentum and see exactly where he's going. Like, if you're not setting your targets for what you want out of your life, out of your relationship, your targets will be set for you. You are heading towards something. You just need to be aware of where I'm heading. You got to ask yourself, the way I'm behaving right now in my relationship, in my marriage, in whatever, the way I'm behaving right now, what is that heading towards? And then you got to set these targets and just start working towards them. When I thought about momentum, I thought about a space shuttle. So that was the first image that came to mind. I don't know why, first image that came to mind. So you got like a space shuttle, and when you have a space shuttle, you have, I probably should have got the image, but you have the orbiter, and then there's an external tank, and there's a solid rocket booster on either side. And the space shuttle goes from the ground all the way up into space, right? And as it's going up, bits of the whole craft start to fall off, because at that point, it no longer needs those extra bits. So it starts to break off these bits so that it can continue its momentum and continue going. So it's just a thought. You start to question yourself, and I guess everyone should question, what are the things that have only got me so far that I may need to let go in order for me to continue my momentum so I can hit the target? And then I started thinking about point 2, which is unlearned behavior. So we've got unlearned behavior. When I think about babies, like my older sister had a baby recently. She's amazing. She's mad loud. Like, every video that my sister's doing, she's just there shouting and shouting and shouting. She's gonna sing. I know she's gonna sing. She's gonna be a singer. But I was thinking about babies, and there's studies that show that in the first 5 years of infancy, babies, toddlers, children, they will learn a lot about what they need in this life, basically. They'll learn a lot about what they need to navigate through this life. So a lot of things will be picked up, whether that's being taught directly to them or not, these things will be picked up. So I also started thinking about, love languages and how love languages work. I'm sure everyone knows what a love language is, but if you don't know what a love language is, it's just like dude called Gary Chapman, he basically said that there's several ways that we show or understand or basically communicate love. Everyone has their different ones, and I remember reading one of his books, Things I Wish I Knew Before I Got Married. He spoke about how your love language could be passed down from your parents' behavior. So it's not like your parents said, hey, look, this is what love looks like. It's just this is the way that they have been communicating love, or the way that they showed that they want to receive love. So I was thinking about my love language, which is acts of service. I'm thinking, how did I get that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how did I develop acts of service as my love language? And I started thinking about, I was basically raised by my mum. And my mum would get really frustrated when she comes home and sees that the dishes ain't washed or something like that, because she sees it as service. And she gets frustrated because she feels like we're not helping, we're not being loving onto her. So she sees it as service. And when we do something that's helpful to her, she's proper cheery and proper happy about it. So maybe that's why I developed my love language, which is acts of service. So it's not like my mum, like I said, it's not like my mum sat me down and said, this is what love looks like. But that's the way that I have developed, essentially, and the way that I have learned, intentionally or unintentionally from her, how I want to be loved, basically. So if everyone could just like look at themselves and just think, all right, cool, what is my love language? How am I speaking it? And how can I communicate that to other people, especially the person in my relationship? If a little bit about me, I'm a massive anime watcher, so I watch anime. If anyone doesn't know what anime is basically, it's alright. So it is the myth. It's basically cartoons, but it's not actually. It's not childish at all. Like when I tell you, it's extremely adult content. Not just in the fact that sometimes they really over-sexualize like women sometimes, but usually in the contents and the stuff they're talking about. Like if you were to just walk in on me watching anime, you'll be like, they're just fighting and using swords and stuff like that. But when you actually look at some of the things that's discussed in anime, it's actually very adult stuff. Like I've learned a lot about the world through anime. I learned a lot about cycles of pain and hurt people through anime. And I remember I was watching, I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but I was watching some anime, because if I say it, anyone who watches anime will be like, oh, that anime is dead, fam, why are you watching that? But I was watching anime, and then, I've been watching this anime since I was like maybe 10, because it's been going for years and years and years. And one of the characters that was young when I was young is now an adult, and he has kids, right? And there was an inner monologue. Animes love that. They do inner monologues all the time, like, oh my god, I don't know what's happening. Like they do inner monologues all the time. So this character was he was watching his son run in the sunset, and he was thinking about how he himself, his dad never taught him how to do a lot of stuff in life, but he watched his dad and he learned stuff. So then in his inner monologue, he was thinking, I wonder what my child is learning while he's watching me. So while he's watching my back, while I'm doing stuff, while I'm being active, while I don't think he's looking, I wonder what he's learning by watching me. And that's where I feel like a lot of unlearned behavior comes from a lot of unlearning needs to happen is that we need to see, all right, cool, what are the things that we have picked up intentionally or unintentionally that is not going to be beneficial to our relationships, that is going to set us back, that we need to let go in order to continue momentum. And when we think about unlearned behavior, I know there's certain things in this life that people are just going to be like, that's just the way I am. I'm just like that. You can unlearn anything that you have learned. I know it sounds a bit mad to unlearn, but it is possible to unlearn. The Bible says that, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that anyone in Christ is a new creation. It is possible for you to become something different to what you have been in the past due to behavior that you just picked up. Don't let this is just the way I am be the reasons why your relationship ain't thriving, or you're not thriving, or you're not picking up momentum in relationships. Don't let your star sign be the reason that you're not progressing in your relationship and your relationship isn't thriving. I'm a Libra, I'm a Gemini, so I'm like this, I'm like that. Bro, please, I beg. Don't let your star sign be the reason why you are not thriving in your relationships. It is always possible for you to transform. You know, we live in a world where I don't know if you're on social media right now, but especially throughout the whole of last year, there was this thing where everyone was doing called This You, basically. So what that is, basically, I'll explain it, is if someone did something in the past that is contradictory or it goes against how they're behaving right now, people will pull that up and be like, is this you, basically? Like, are you the one who did this? So essentially something like, I don't know, Piers Morgan might have said something about Arsenal Football Club or something like that, and then he might say something negative, and then in the present day he's saying something positive in contradiction to what he said before. People pull it up and be like, is this you? The most recent one I saw yesterday was Ayesha Curry, Steph Curry's wife. He's a basketball player, so his wife. She tweeted, I think it was 2015 I saw. She tweeted something about, I don't understand why women are always taking off their clothes in order to try and make themselves seem attractive and all that stuff. But then her most recent post today is her basically naked on Instagram. And someone pulled that up, put the two pictures side by side, the screenshot of the tweet and a picture of her, and said, is this you? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, yo, like, this world is not showing any grace to anyone whatsoever. And the thing is, a lot of that can trickle into people's relationships. They'll have people like not showing any grace. Like, these are very extreme examples of people not showing grace. But I feel like this world is calling out for God's people to be setting the example that you can be showing grace to people. You can be loving to people. You don't have to be pulling up people's past and be like, yo, you're the one who said this. So, like, there's room for growth. Like, we're talking about transformation. There's room for transformation. There's room for you to become something different. In Ephesians 4:31-32, it says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave you. That goes completely against the way everyone is on social media right now in terms of this you and not showing grace to anyone. Like, we need to be developing people and relationships that are examples to the world, showing that grace is possible. You ain't got to be, like, in my opinion, you don't have to be a Christian to be showing grace to someone. You can just be showing grace to someone. You can just be nice. Like, yeah, people aren't really trying to do that nowadays. And another thing about social media, yeah, don't get me wrong, I love social media. I think social media is a powerful tool, but there's so much on there that is just like, it's just not, it's not beneficial at all. Like, there's social media gurus, like, listen, look, in my opinion, everyone that's giving you advice, selfish advice, destructive advice in terms of relationships, but passing it off as self-care, they are not going to be there for the ramifications of your actions. They will never be there when your actions start to cause pain and turmoil in other people's lives, especially people you're in a relationship with. I understand, like, loving yourself is extremely important, but some of the advice that people are giving out there is just, it's crazy, in my opinion. It's crazy. Like, we're meant to love each other above ourselves, but some of the advice that we're getting out there is just, it's not helpful. These people are not going to be there when everything's going wrong. These people will never be there when everything's going wrong. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, do not be deceived. Bad companies corrupt good morals. I feel like that works for social media as well. Honestly, I feel like that works for social media as well. When we're talking about the people that we follow, I'm talking about the people that, on all platforms, people that we follow, people that follow us, people that be retweeting stuff. Listen, if it's not helpful, if it's not edifying you, unfollow them. In my opinion, unfollow them. I understand that some of them may be your boy. Like, some people I had to unfollow, yeah? And sometimes it hurts when you unfollow someone. It's like, I don't want to do this to you, bro, but it is what it is. Like, sometimes when, I had to unfollow one of my boys from secondary school. Like, I've known this guy for years. Like, he's one of my closest friends. The reason I had to follow him is because the stuff he retweets are just not helpful. They're really not helpful. Like, I just know that if there's a half-naked woman on my Twitter timeline, it's probably him who retweeted it. So I just have to unfollow him. And then if you unfollow your friends and they come to you and they're like, yo, why'd you unfollow me? and they're upset about that, after you tell them that, listen, it's not edifying, it's not helping me, then I guess that you learn a lot about who your friend is in that moment, in my opinion. You learn a lot about who your friend is. Proverbs 4:23, it says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. We're talking about targets, talking about momentum. You need to be guarding your heart, especially when we're talking about momentum. There's things that, like I said, they're not helpful. These echo chambers that we're in, that we may be in, the company that we're keeping, they're not helpful in terms of momentum. So we need to be guarding our hearts because it will determine the course of your life. So also with unlearned behaviors, that includes traumas. I know like everyone has some level of trauma, but there are some traumas that we may need to get past. And I don't want to say that and make it seem so easy, but there's maybe some traumas that we need to get past in order for us to thrive in relationships. There's a funny, I think it's quite funny now, but one of my traumas, growing up was, obviously, cause I lived in the hood. Like I said, I grew up in the hood. I've seen a lot of violence, not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of violence. A lot of it is quite traumatic. And I feel like a lot of young people nowadays, I feel like we probably need to be a bit more gracious towards them, because I feel like a lot of young people in lower income, high crime, high poverty areas, they're probably going through a lot of PTSD. They've probably seen a lot that then they haven't been treated with. So I think we need to be careful in that front. But with myself, I've seen a lot of like violence. I have an older brother. If anyone is a younger brother, then you were a punching bag for your older brother, basically. My brother used to try and, like, we used to watch WWE all the time, right? And he always used to try and put me in a sleep hold and actually knock me out. He never succeeded until one day he actually succeeded. I was washing dishes, right? I think I was maybe like 13 or something, 14. I was washing dishes, and he put me in a sleep hold while I was washing dishes, and I was like, whatever, man, it's never worked. Like, you've been doing this for 14 years, like, it's not gonna suddenly work. I just remember waking up on the floor, like, I just remember my vision kind of closed off. I woke up on the floor and he knocked me out. My brother knocked me out, basically. So I kind of have this, I kind of have one level of trauma where it's like, if anyone is coming towards me with their hand or something like that, I will move backwards, right? And if someone tries to make me flinch, I will flinch. And I don't feel any way about it because I'm protecting myself. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I made you flinch. Yes, I flinched. Do you know what I mean? I'm protecting myself. But something I've noticed is that, you know, some people are, like, my wife's love language is physical touch. So that's a bad mix, because when she comes towards me to like touch my face or something, I'm moving backwards, and she thinks sometimes that I'm doing it because I don't want her to touch me, because she feels unloved in that sense, because, you know, sometimes when we express our love language and it's rejected, we feel unloved in that sense. And I just had to kind of break it down and just be like, oh, like, it's not intentional. I just have a thing about protecting myself, because I really don't know what you're on. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, anything could happen. Like, I remember watching like TV with my brother, just sitting next to him, and he would just like chop me in the neck, like just chop me in the neck, like, as I'm just watching it. Like, yo, it's just anything goes sometimes when I was growing up with my brother, innit? So that I would count that as a trauma, and that's something that I have to get past. I have to get past that if I want to have a relationship that has momentum, and that's heading towards a goal of being loving. Another thing is, another one of my traumas is arachnophobia. Yo, like, I don't mess with spiders. I really don't. Like, if especially a couple of years ago, if I'm in a room with a spider, the spider it can have the room. I don't want the room anymore, because I'm not staying. But like, my wife, she is, I guess I don't know if she's more scared than I am, but I didn't even ask for this, but I got to be the one to deal with them. Like, I have to be the one to deal with them. I remember one time I was working, she came home, she's like, oh, yo, there's a spider outside the door. And she was like, she didn't say it like that, but she was proper like scared, right? She's like, there's a spider outside the door. And I'm like, what do you want me to do about that? she was just being scared. So I realized that, yo, I have to get past this trauma, especially if I'm gonna be someone where she finds comfort, where she finds safety, where she finds a level of refuge, because I've got to be one to deal with some of these issues. You see what I'm saying? And that's like, it's a minor example, but it's an example that I guess is important. Like, you've got to think about what are these things that are traumatic. And it doesn't have to always be something extremely dark, but they're traumatic and they're unhelpful and the stuff that we may need to unlearn when we're going forward. The third one is developing beneficial characteristics. So I feel like there's a lot of things that we could be doing by ourselves that can very much help our relationships and provide us with a lot of momentum. And that could be several things. Like, that can be like, do I need to find a new job? Do I need to get more money? Do I need to get do a course so I can do, I don't know, learn how to communicate better, or a course that can help me with finding a new job or something like that? Do I need to go to therapy? Therapy is important. I think like we need Jesus and therapy. Like, Jesus can be our therapy sometimes, but I feel like we need Jesus and therapy. Do I need to communicate better when I'm angry? An image I have here, yeah. I watched this film this week. I was excited to watch it because I remember I saw the trailer like last year. It's got two of my favorite actors in it. It's called Malcolm and Marie, right? It's a film on Netflix. I say watch it. The cinephile in me and the filmmaker in me love the film. It's amazing. Like, I feel like as a film, it's dope. It's fantastic. But the Christian in me watched the film like, yo, these guys don't communicate that well. Like, the whole film is them arguing, basically. Like, they're just arguing, going back and forth, right? I remember watching it. Like, there was a point where they argued and they're really ripping into each other. And I remember turning to Darren. I was just like, in situations like this, when you're angry in your relationship and you're firing these words, even if you quote unquote win, you don't win in those situations. You don't win at all, because you're losing in your relationship, but you may have felt that you won that argument. So I feel like developing a characteristic where you can communicate even when you're angry. And that even goes back to what I was saying earlier about like social media, where people be like, I remember seeing some tweets, people be like, yo, if I'm angry, just don't talk to me, or don't, like, come on, I'm not gonna lie, that's a bit childish, in my opinion. It's a bit childish. We need to learn how to communicate when we're angry, because yes, we will feel anger. You can acknowledge how you feel, but you should always act on what you know. You should always act on especially what the Bible's saying about how we can be compassionate towards each other. You should always act on those things. The fourth thing is don't compare. So I've spoken about social media quite a bit here, but yeah, it's a tough one, because social media isn't something that it's not something that you can just like throw away and just put in a box and just open it when you need it. Like, it's very much a part of a lot of people's everyday life. And it wasn't before, but it is now. Like, for example, when football's on, when I need to know who's lining up for my team, who's gonna be in a team, I usually check social media. I usually check Twitter. That's where I find it first. When Black Lives Matter protests were happening last year, a lot of stuff, Twitter. You see it there first. Like, the news is quite slow in relation to Twitter, and I think everyone kind of knows that nowadays. So social media is a lot of the fabric of our everyday lives. Like, when you're going for jobs, people will they'll sometimes look at your Twitter page. They'll sometimes look at your social media page, and you can get fired if you're doing the madness online. So when we're thinking about social media, comparison, like I'm saying, don't compare. That's number 4. But comparison is one of the things that it's hard not to do. And I don't want to sit here and just act like it's easy. It's extremely hard not to do, especially when you're on social media. But you got to learn how to not compare. You can set examples. I feel like you can set examples. And obviously examples, there's a level of comparison in examples, but you can set examples, but don't compare. Like, don't be competing. We're about to speak about archers and their targets, and he spoke about people making their own targets. Your target will never be someone else's target. It may look the same. It will never be someone else's target. I think that the only time your target will be the same as someone else's target, for archers especially, is in a competition like the Olympics. But who is your relationship competing with? Like, who are you competing against? Like, what is this race about? Like, don't compare. Like, it's obviously hard to do, but don't compare. You need to understand that what is for your relationship is for your relationship. And you need to especially pray about it and be mindful about it, that you're not comparing and you're asking God to do in your relationship specifically what he's going to do in your relationship. I remember usually when something good happens to someone on social media, I don't know if it's just on my timeline, or people will just tweet stuff like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for others. Lord, do it for me as well. Like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but if you're wanting it just because someone else has it, like, bro, please, I beg, don't compare. An image that came to mind is like, when David was on the battlefield, and they tried to give him armor, and he said that, nah, this armor, I'm not used to it. This ain't me. He had his target. You know what he came here to do, and he realized that, listen, what you man are doing is not beneficial for what I'm doing. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me translate that. What these people are doing will not help what I'm doing. It's not beneficial for what I'm doing. So, yeah, don't compare. I don't want to dwell too much on that bit, but yeah. My last point, I know I said 4, but it's actually 5. So my last point is God at the center. I feel like that's something that maybe sometimes we forget about. But no person can ever fill the void that you won't let God fill in you. There's no relationship that you're ever going to have with any human being that can fill what God can do in your life. So your relationship needs to be exalting and glorifying God. I'm not sure how your relationship started, but sometimes we like to let God circle our relationship, but our relationship should circle God, essentially. In 1 Corinthians 10:31, it says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And that, in my opinion, includes your relationships. Your relationships should glorify God. There's an image that, especially during my dating stage, because I kind of say this to my wife quite often, not often, she knows, but if I ever get opportunity, if you want to ask me about it, innit? But I didn't want to like her at first. I remember I didn't want to like her at first. But I remember I saw this image. I don't know where I saw it, but the image is basically of a triangle. And in the bottom left of the triangle, it has husband or him. And in the bottom right of the triangle, it has wife or her. And at the top of the triangle, it has God. So I remember just going, all right, cool. I'm not trying to necessarily get to her, but I'm going to make sure that I'm just seeking God's face. And in doing so, we came closer together, essentially. So if you imagine it like I said, him at the bottom, her, and then they come together to meet God at the top, essentially. Our relationships need to essentially be glorifying God ultimately. Many of us were asking for favor and blessings after the fact. So Lord, bless this, bless what I'm about to do. Lord, bless this, bless that. We need to be inviting God and bringing God into everything beforehand as well. We need to be making sure that everything that we're doing is circling and glorifying God. We need to get back to, especially if you started at this, you need to get back to doing Bible study together, worshiping together. All of this stuff will build momentum in your relationship when it comes to a relationship that glorifies God. We need to get back to praying with one another, praying for one another. We need to get back to all of that. In Acts 16:31, it says, so they said, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved, you and your household. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved, you and your household. The faith of one person in that household can save that household. I'm not sure what type of relationship that you guys have had up until this point, but your relationships need to be glorifying God, because your household can be saved just on the basis of one person's faith. We need to go back to relationships that ultimately glorify God. So those are my 5 points. The first one was set targets. Second one was unlearned behavior. Third one is develop beneficial characteristics. Fourth, don't compare. And the fifth one is God at the center. We need to have God at the center of our relationships when it comes to momentum. Father, I just thank you for your word. I thank you for the opportunity to to preach this word today, Lord. Lord, I just thank you for everyone that may be in relationships, may not be in relationships. Lord, I just pray that we're all having relationships that can glorify you. We're all having relationships that exalt you, Lord. We're all having relationships where the world can look at our relationships and just be like, I wonder what they're doing right. I wonder what it is about their relationships that's an example to the rest of the world. Lord, you've called us to be the salt and light of this earth. And I pray that our relationships are examples of that. I pray that anything that we have that we need to let go of in order for momentum, in order for growth, for us to hit these targets, Lord, I pray that you give us the strength to let go of these things. I pray that you give us the minds to identify these things. And ultimately, Lord, I just pray that you have your way in our relationships, Lord. I pray that you're glorified, Lord. I pray that we're able to just go back to moments where we're able to pray with one another. We're able to worship in these relationships. Lord, I know sometimes we like to make excuses that we don't have the time. We don't have the time for prayer in these relationships, Lord. But Lord, I pray that we're able to just go back to those moments. I pray that we're able to develop those moments. I pray that when we're setting our targets, Lord, that we're setting them with you in mind. Lord, I ultimately pray that you have your way, Lord. I pray that when we're developing characteristics that are beneficial towards momentum and growth, I pray that we're doing them with your word in mind. I pray that we're not just unlearning behavior because we're just supposed to unlearn it, but I pray that we're replacing these unlearned behavior with something beneficial, something that can help with momentum. Lord, I put this next week into your hand. I put February into your hand. I put the rest of the year into your hand. Our word for the year is momentum, Lord. We're supposed to be productive and fruitful. I pray that our relationships are fruitful, Lord. I pray that our marriages are fruitful, Lord. Any marriage, any relationships that had history of hurt and trauma, I pray that you come in, step into the situation, Lord, and transform it for your good. Lord, we know that all things are working together for the good of those who love the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.